Basketball Postgame Show, featuring Derek Pearson and former Husker and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! He's going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
As Strick points to, you got to believe in the Huskers. The Huskers get a victory today, 82-72 on the road, and a big win for Nebraska over Rutgers. Third win in 4 games for Nebraska, and they've been doing a very good job of protecting home court. They go on the road and get one tonight, and really is going to breathe new life into this Husker basketball season. Now a game away from 500, 13-14, 6-10 in the Big Ten play, and a chance down the stretch. Now, you'd think this was probably their most difficult game down the stretch, and they got the win. They are a hot team. No one's going to want to see them in the tournament. Let's dive into the festivities from tonight by welcoming in the Husker Hall of Famer, longtime NBA vet, Eric Strickland. Strick, what are your initial thoughts on a big victory for Husker Hoops on a Valentine's Day?
Well, you've got the biggest gift that we could have, right, on a Valentine's Day. Everybody is loving one another. The Huskers are loving the effort that they gave tonight. You just can't. Well, one of the things that I continue to say, and I said this on the block today, is Nebraska needed to go out there, and it was like a bully. You're going to have to take their punch. You see what Rutgers did to them. They tried to press, throw some things at them. Yes, they were getting the turnovers. They were doing everything that they could to try to speed Nebraska up, get the tempo at a pace that they like, take advantage of turnovers, and put the Huskers in a spot. But one of the things I always say, Bach, what's the score? The score is 82 points. If Nebraska gets up into the 70s against this Rutgers team, they got 82 tonight. I said that they would get a win. And they executed when they needed to. Still didn't shoot the free throws the way that I would have liked. But down the stretch, that's when they hit the free throws that mattered. And they were able to secure the win. They executed down the stretch. They secured the rebounds down the stretch. It was the number that I needed to see, Bach. I needed to see them in that. In the same range. I didn't need Rutgers to be dominating the boards tonight. And 58% from field goals when this team holds everybody under 35%. 29% from three. They shoot 43% from three tonight. Great game for the Huskers. I'm excited about the way that they're playing right now. Their young players are growing up, and they're doing what they need to do. And it's a big win on the road for them tonight, Bach.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this was a game Nebraska not expected to win. Rutgers has now this is their third loss in a row, but had been losing the last two games away from their home court, and they've been very good there. And that's a tough place to go in. We know that over the years. I think they said it was the first win at Rutgers since 2018 for Nebraska. They knocked off Purdue once again earlier this year from their home court. And to go out there, and this was not what I liked about this game, and you know, credit to Nebraska in any win they can get. Don't get me wrong, but this was not a fluke. The better team tonight was Nebraska. They were their team. They were up a majority of the second half. They got the first half lead, and I think a big part of that in that first half, you got to talk about the homecoming and the decision to start C.J. Wilcher from Fred Hoiberg. I don't know if that was a matchups thing or that's just trying to find a way to get CJ going. He hasn't been, shooting all that well. He did catch some foul trouble, so wasn't able to match that so much in the second half. But, there were times there where they really needed a big shot, and he stepped up and hit them. What do you think that was? Was that more a matchup thing, or do you think the decision to start him was because the motivation might have been there? Also started Jamarcus Lawrence, of course, who was a high school hooper in New Jersey as well.
No, what you wanted to do is you knew you needed ball handlers. You knew that they were going to come out. They're going to attack you. You needed more ball handlers. As you see in the second half, Derek Walker was able to help a little bit more on carrying a little bit of that pressure relief valve stuff that he was able to do. But C.J. Wilcher coming home, there's nothing like coming home and the comfort of coming home and feeling good about being around family and people being there in the game, it can go one of two ways. One, it can either go to the negative because you're so tense and tight, but it seemed to work to CJ Wilcher's advantage tonight because he was able to relax, just play the game. He took the type of shots that we needed to see for him. Big shots when he needed to make them. They answered the bell. Whenever Rutgers began to make a run, CJ hits a big one. Tamanaga, cold in the first half, comes out in the second half and gets busy, even though with I think he probably had a little bit of hydration issue that kind of caused him to go out. But everybody else stepped up. And one of the things I liked about it that I got to see is they attacked. They attacked the press. You know, at first they were kind of hesitant. They were pulling it out. Later in the second half, you saw that they were beginning to attack. Got some great opportunities at the basket, some good kickouts, and they were able to knock some buckets down. But no, it wasn't necessarily a matchup issue tonight. It was more so they knew what they were going to do. They knew that they were going to be on attack mode as well, and just to have more ball handlers to be able to take care of the ball. You know, the turnovers, what are they? Oh, gosh, I have it just here. Hold on one second. The turnovers tonight wasn't crazy. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't where you would like it to be. For Nebraska, I think they had some bad turnovers, but only 14. That's solid. That's solid against this Rutgers team who turns people over 9 a game as far as steals only, not just turnovers, but 9 steals, and they were able to get over that, get through that. But to shoot 58% against this Rutgers team, who is a tremendously defensive team, one of the probably top 10, 15 in the country as far as their defensive numbers, to get it done tonight.
Yeah, 65% in the first half. That's how good Nebraska was. And then, you know, like you said, it ended up 58%. And the turnovers, too, that was kind of more of a first half thing, too. So you got to give credit to Nebraska. You know, that press, it does take a little bit to kind of figure it out. And ultimately, Jamarcus Lawrence had 5 turnovers, but 14 for Nebraska, 8 of those in the first half. So down the stretch, when you need to close out the game, they did a pretty good job. Only 6 turnovers in the second half. Hit enough of those free throws. I mean, he's starting to hold your breath a little bit because Nebraska's not a very good free throw shooting team. And when Casey went out, it was just kind of like, all right, well, who do you get the ball to now? And Greasel hit 2 of them. Credit to him. The first one, I think, was, you know, again, another holding your breath situation where it hit every part of the rim and went in, but you'll take it. And a great job from him. I mean, he hit some ice cold shots down the stretch. Also got an assist there late to Walker, who had a great game. And just really, there's not a whole lot of negative to say about Nebraska. Somebody was kind of saying it here through the comments, which we'll get to in a second. That's about as completed a game as we've seen from Nebraska. And I think that alone, just watching it, the optics of it certainly was, but the fact that that's one of the better defensive teams in the nation. I mean, you heard it in the broadcast all game long. They've not lost a game where they hold opponent to 65 points, and Nebraska blowing that out of the water, getting to 82. Big part of that was CJ Wilcher. Obviously in the first half, Keisei Tamanaga got going, but you look at the final scores there. This is Nebraska we're talking about. This doesn't happen too often, but 4 players in the starting lineup and altogether in double-digit scoring points. 22 for Tamanaga, 17 for Wilcher, again without foul trouble, maybe a little bit more. 16 for Walker. He finished up 8 of 10 from the floor, so great proficiency there. 12 points from Greasel. He also had 11 rebounds and 5 assists to go along with it. And a jump ball. They decided to jump Greasel at the beginning. But that's what you talk about, a team effort. Then how about Sam Hoiberg pitching in 7 and a big block down the stretch from the smallest guy in the court. I mean, so this was great effort and another a team win for Nebraska. And that's what I think you can kind of think about moving forward is, a 17-point comeback against Wisconsin. Like, that's great. It was fun. It really got you going. But at the same time, you're thinking, they were down 17. You got to dig out of that hole. This looks like a good team. And again, you go back to the injuries with Bandemill and Gary, and if you can put it all together, I mean, you could say something there. But more importantly is kind of put that chapter to the side. This team, as it is currently constructed, is a danger to the Big Ten, and whoever they're playing. And certainly once the Big Ten tournament goes around, no one's going to want to be, get Nebraska.
Well, absolutely, Bach. One of the things that you love about Fred Hoiberg is it doesn't look the same every night. He's willing to look at who they got and then just assess how their strategy as far as their game plan is going to work against that team and throw that out at them. You didn't see much of Keita tonight, 4 minutes total, but he was productive against Wisconsin. And that's the thing that Fred Hoiberg, I love about the way that he's doing right now, is that he's assessing what he's got, who he's playing against, what is possibly their strategy going to come against them. And then he's throwing out the types of lineup, the type of different matchups that are going to be of a benefit to the Husker game plan. And they executed. You can tell they were well prepared. They were, I think one of the things that I saw and that I hope that they can correct is that on their double teams, the teams are holding or they're stepping out. Whenever a guy has the ball in the post and he goes out towards the three-point line, you need to release. I'll give you an example. There was a post up that happened against Keisei Tamanaga in the first half, led to a three-pointer in the corner. The reason being, and this is the stuff we do in the NBA, but this is something they need to implement. Postman gets it. Griesel comes over with the double. He's a big matchup against whoever that was. They were trying to post up Tamanaga in a matchup advantage. Tamanaga needs to get out of there. Like the minute that he starts to dribble towards the three-point line to stretch the defense, leave Griesel, Tamanaga go far weak, and they would have been able to cover that situation. But that's things they need to work out. They need to talk about that because they do that regularly where they stay too long in the double team when there's no need for a double team at that point. And that'll help them even more on their defense, not allowing three-pointers to happen even more. You got to do that against Zach Edey. You got to do that against Dickinson. You got to do that in situations where they're not a threat. They pick up their dribble or they dribble away to stretch you out. You got to release and go and find the next guy that's wide open on the weak side, usually in the corner.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's been their strategy all year long, and you're right. It's regardless of matchup, kind of. So, I credit to them for playing their defense. It's been obviously much improved, and they've worked on that all off season and got. But there's, like you said, a little some kinks to iron out a little bit there for them as well. We are doing this post-game show, Hoops post-game show, brought to you by Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, as well as Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits. Thanks to those guys for sponsoring us all year long. You're hearing from us. We'd like to hear from you too. You can text us on the Select or Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. You can jump in the comments sections on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. While you're there, if you don't like, subscribe, give and jump in the comments. So we'd love to hear it. We'd love to go through your comments now as we run through some of our social media comments here. Kingsley says, I cannot believe it. This team was completely turned it around. What a performance. Byron says, huge wins, Fred's best team, which I think, already had the most wins under Fred Hoiberg. I think you'd have to agree, especially as a team, the best team. Kyle says, great win, possibly the best start to finish game I've seen them play in a while. GBR. Kingsley, once again, where was this Wilcher all season? So glad to see him back to scoring. Jonathan throws in a GBR. And Kramer, listening from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, says GBR, win the first half, and it's simple, fight downhill, allowed missed gimmies in the second half. This was obviously not Rutgers' probably best performance of the season, and now they're in their own 3-game stretch. So maybe there's a little bit of cleanup to do there on their end as well. But you look at what Nebraska is piling up, and that's the good thing about the Big Ten this year is it's hard to find too many bad teams. Obviously, the teams below Nebraska, Ohio State really having a rough year. Minnesota's not going to get too many wins. But the wins that they're adding up, the Penn State just got a big victory tonight against Illinois. They're back in NCAA tournament contention. Rutgers, this is going to hurt them. I mean, this is a team that was in the top 5, just outside of it now, and probably going to be falling a little bit further back. But I mean, these wins are this is not beating up on the bottom of the Big Ten. These are impressive wins that they've got at 3 of these last 4. We'll see what Wisconsin can pull out if they can get a win tonight against Michigan. But that's the other part of it, is that you don't feel like this team is just taking advantage of a team on an off night or something like that. They're beating good quality teams again, and it was at home. Now to be able to go and do that on the road, is really a thing here on Valentine's Day. We will have to take a quick break. We do have to pay off the sponsorships here, but we will be right back here on the Hoops Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket. Nebraska with the win, 82-72 over Rutgers. They improved to 13-14 on the season. Once again, most importantly, 3 out of their last 4, as they have 4 games now down the stretch, 3 of them at home. We'll talk about those things and more. Big game tonight from a lot of guys. We'll break it down more coming up next here on the Ticket, or on the Hoops Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket.
Husker Nation, Amy Williams and Nebraska women's basketball needs you February 18th at 1 p.m. as the Huskers take on the Iowa Hawkeyes. We need your help to sell out Pinnacle Bank Arena for the first time ever. For event and ticket information, visit huskers.com/tickets. Go Big Red.
Hey guys, this is Lindsay Teal from Nebraska Golf Team. Imagine golfing the best courses in the world. St. Andrews, Pebble Beach, Southern Hills, the best of the best. You can play those courses and more without ever leaving the city of Lincoln at Double Eagle Golf. Double Eagle has the city's best golf simulators, 5 high-quality bays that track ball speed, launch angle, club speed, spin rate, and more to give you the most accurate gameplay. Check it out for yourself year-round. Double Eagle Golf, just 5 minutes from downtown at the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
The Empire brand is growing with ESC fabrication and sandblasting. ESC is your place for custom handrails, industrial and commercial painting, and more. ESC provides custom welding for aluminum and stainless steel and media blasting of all sorts. ESC has great attention to detail. They stick to deadlines and keep within your budget. If you can dream it, they can make it. Contact ESC Fabrication and Sandblasting in Waverly today at 531-207-9329.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning. Now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Chances are you've tried fruitcake before. Chances are it looked pretty weird. Lots of colors that don't really exist in nature. Chances are it tasted weird. Chances are you need to try fruitcake again. Grandma's fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. None of that weird stuff you didn't like, just real fruit, premium nuts, and the delicious flavor combination of brandy, bourbon, and rum to meld all that together. See for yourself. Grandma's Fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Back to the Tickets Basketball Postgame Show, featuring Derek Pearson and former Husker and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Happy Valentine's Day from us here at 93.7 The Ticket and from the Husker Hoops. Mine, that one from 93.7 The Ticket, that could be more formal. It's spoken right out of the station. From Husker Hoops, I can't say that. I can't speak for them, but they're certainly making all of us pretty happy here on the holiday. Nebraska getting the win 82-72 over Rutgers. The Scarlet Knights now falling to 16-10, 8-7 conference play. Of course, more importantly for us here in Nebraska, the Cornhuskers improved to 13-14, 6-10 in conference play, and still a chance as Nebraska. I know some people were maybe watching Penn State tonight. trying to see if Nebraska can pick up some wins in the standings there to try to get out of the Wednesday bracket. I wouldn't really worry about that at this point in time. If Nebraska keeps on the pace that they're on, obviously, win a few more games here, I think they'll have an opportunity to do that. We do have a call here. We will take it, but I will warn you, we don't have a producer in studio, so we're just going to take it live to air. So if you can hear me, you are on the radio. Who is this? It's the Hoops Postgame Show.
Hey, Bach, it's Bruce Morgan.
Oh, Bruce, nice to hear from you. What do you think tonight?
Hey, man, for some reason, this team just seems like just a total difference from like a month ago. I'm so proud of the fighting that they're doing. I'm so happy that, they're taking good shots. They're not just, throwing up threes. And Derek Walker, man, I'm so proud of that guy, man. That guy is just out there balling, man. He's busting his tail, getting rebounds. Tonight was great. And if we continue to keep seeing this, who knows how far we can go in the Big Ten tournament, man. So thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you for the call.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would have to agree with him, Bach. I mean, there's, guys are stepping up, man. Their leadership is stepping up. Derek Walker stepping up. Greasel stepping up. And we talked about it, on multiple occasions, both on this show as well as we've talked about it on, the block and obviously on the water cooler and your shows as well, is that this team needs to have Greasel, as I said, shoot with the efficiency and be effective as he was, 5 assists with 0 turnovers, a double-double tonight. He was so efficient in every way. I love the game that he played, and that's the type of numbers we like to have. I'd like to have either Greasel, but we got Wilcher tonight to fall into that category. I want one of those two guards. I need another guard outside of Tamanaga to be in that range. Tamanaga continues to run the way that he's running. Another 20-plus game for him on efficient night after struggling, but that's the kind of player he is. He's going to continue to come back. If he continues to get looks, he's going to fire him. But another thing that we've talked about, Bach, is in the secondary break type of situations where they're getting the ball and they're pushing and probing and they're finding secondary opportunities as far as shots. Tamanaga, a couple, no one comes and finds him, knocks it down. And then they're finding those guys. They're getting out and running, getting out on those wings, getting the spots. They're not forcing shots a lot of the time for the most part. Couples of heat checks you saw tonight. But then mostly they're showing it. They're getting in there and they're getting to floaters and they're getting to the next pass and they're working that ball very efficiently around the box. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited by the way they're playing. But again, we talked about multiple guys scoring over 15 points. We had that question tonight. The last time that they did it was against Wisconsin. They have it again tonight. This time, 4 guys in double figures, 17 for Wilcher, 16 for Derek Walker on an 8-10 shooting night, and then 22 from Tamanaga. We got it again tonight. If we continue that pace, they'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
And they're moving up. They're moving up. They've got a chance. If they can win, if they can take care of their home stretch that they've got right now, they can find themselves getting out of that position, because I'm still not overly sold on Iowa. I think you have the capability to go in there and get them just as well. And so, listen, make a little run at it. You've got a chance now. You've got 3 home games. Make a push at it. Even if you go, I felt if they can get one of these 2, take care of home, they could be looking at a postseason berth potentially with their schedule and with their RPI numbers that are pretty high.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to have a chance. You just got to kind of get to that 500 and, of course, see what happens in Indianapolis. For those wondering, the remaining schedule now, Maryland 5 days away, Minnesota and Michigan State all at home. And then, like you said, finishing up with Iowa. Minnesota 1-12 in the league. Obviously gave Nebraska a good test when they went out and played in the Twin Cities. So not an automatic win, but one that Nebraska should certainly expect to get. Maryland and Michigan State, part of that, kind of upper middle tier of the Big Ten right now, both of them 8-6 in the league. So those will be more harder fought victories. And like you said, already know you can beat Iowa from what they did when the Hawkeyes came to Pinnacle Bank Arena. Maybe you can get the same thing done there at Carver Hawkeye Arena. So we'll see. I mean, it is open for Nebraska now with 6 conference days. You've got to figure 7, 7, 8, 9. If they can get to that point down the stretch, that's a very good season. Still not 500 in conference play, but like you were saying, with the tough out of conference schedule, that should be good enough probably to get to the NIT, and especially if you get another impressive victory in Indianapolis. So we'll see. This is a red hot team at this point in the season. I did want to ask you about, and you mentioned it briefly, but breaking the press. I thought Nebraska did a pretty good job in that. Like we talked about, some turnovers early, but did it? I mean, all game long, I was worried about kind of having that clock in your head, right? You don't want to get 10 seconds past half court. What did you think of their breaking the press? Because it was interesting. A lot of times they did eventually get some fast break points out of it. And like you said, Rutgers kind of backed away from it a little bit there. But it was a very calm, kind of collect, almost routine type of break that they would kind of keep going to get out of that press.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did a good job at pass fakes for them, especially in the second half. First half, they kind of few situations, they got a little bit rattled. But in the second half, they definitely handled it well. But it's all about pass fakes. It's all about attacking. It's all about not going to specific areas where they got to a couple times, got themselves in trouble. I think Hoiberg got over there in that same spot, as well as Derek Walker, where he got the 5-second count. Those are dead zones. You don't want to get there. But they did a good job of finding guys, getting it up, and making sure that they had a great opportunity at running clock and running offense. They were executing. And I tweeted that a little bit earlier. Take the punch, stay close. They finished ahead, come out the second half with a little bit of energy. They did that, pushed a little lead. They make runs. It's a game of runs. When they make the run, answer. CJ Wilshire 3, Tamanaga 3. And then the guys hit big shots when they needed to hit them. And then they made free throws down the stretch, 75% in that half to finish it off. That's what they got to do to close out games. They did it the way that you're supposed to do it, especially on the road.
Yeah. And by the way, I did notice too, Denham Dawson not in the starting lineup, didn't play today. I was trying to run down Twitter to see if there is anything post game about that. Maybe it was just a coach's choice. But if you do have anything, I'll let you know, because I didn't find there on Listo. Just text and start him.
I don't know. I think they wanted to stretch the floor. They knew that they were going to throw traps at them. They were going to come at them. They were going to be. They were very physical, especially early. One of the things I saw is when they were cutting, they were hitting them with those shoulders. I talked about that on the block a little bit earlier. That's what they're going to do to you. They're going to let you know, hey, it's going to be one of them type of nights. It's going to be a long night for you. But they said, whatever. It's going to be what it's going to be. And they took the bumps. They took the physicality of the game, and then they got it done ultimately at the end of the day.
And let's get to some of the response again on the Starter Heyman text line, because some interesting thoughts there. Scott opens it up with one that I wanted to talk about. He says, Strick, does Casey have a chance at getting drafted into the NBA? And I'll start by saying, maybe NBA is a big focal point for a lot of people, but I will say this, when he comes back next year, and hopefully, that's going to be the biggest thing, is to get him to come back next year. He's got another year of eligibility. You would think that would be, but you never know in college basketball these days. But if you can get him back next year, I don't know about NBA, but he's playing at an all conference level right now. It's probably too late in the year. And, it's a pretty good conference. So there's been other guys that have kind of established themselves to get that recognition. But if he comes back next year, and kind of continues like playing, even close to this down the stretch, he's going to be preseason all Big Ten, I would think.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go this year. I think if he does get drafted, he would be in the second round. One of the things, Casey's very similar to me in that he's playing really out of position. He's not going to play the 2 guard in the NBA. So he's going to have to show that he has capability of handling the ball, running pick and roll, and at some point playing the point guard position. That's going to have to happen in order for Casey to have an opportunity. But I think somebody would take him in the second round because of his shooting prowess and work on his point guard skills. That's something they can send him to the G League. I know for sure he's going to have a tremendous European career if he decides to take that route. But I think he will get drafted. I don't know about first round. I'd like to see him a little bit more. I would like to see him handle the ball a little bit more, have a little higher usage rate in that aspect. But if he can do that, If he can show me a little bit of that sometime next year, which he'll have the opportunity to do, obviously you'll have Ramel Lloyd coming in. You'll also have Q coming back, and you have some other recruits that are going to come in at the guard position. They're going to be very heavy guard laden next year. What that's going to look like for the team, it's still open for debate. I would still like to see Gary get back and hopefully get healthy, and what he'll be able to do as far as his slashing ability and how they're going to be able to get it done as they go into the offseason.
Yeah, that's kind of a fun part of watching this season unfold is, even midway through the season, you're kind of thinking, well, I don't know, all their leaders are seniors, and now it's just kind of developing into guys taking steps up in their game, and you can really start to put together, okay, the future of this team is going to be pretty good with the core that they're going to have returning. But again, it's college basketball, college sports these days. Who knows with the transfer portal? But I'm sure there'll be some transfer portal additions as well. Sten says, love seeing the guys play mentally tough. Plenty of bad things happen. Plenty of opportunities to fall apart. Never happened. Congratulations to this team and great job by the staff. Rick from Wahoo says they're so beat up, but they win when they shouldn't. A lot of people giving Sip a shout out because he called it out this morning that they're going to win this game. So good job by Sip calling that one. And it was weird. It was a 14-point spread, I believe, or at least that's what it was earlier in the day. And it to me in Nebraska too, it didn't feel like that. It felt like, okay, I expect them to grind it out. I'm not going to say I called the win, but I expected a pretty good performance from Nebraska just because of the way they've been playing. And certainly this was probably the best one we've seen all year. 8200 says CJ Wilcher came to play. Byron says, Strick, how about Fred's offensive plan kept running the same set, best called game? You, again, broke it down a little bit earlier, but what did you think about Coach Hoiberg? Not so much in rotations, but just kind of X's and O's and type of play calling out there tonight.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And he took I'm not saying that he did this plan, but one of the things that being in the NBA that I found is a team like the Utah Jazz in the John Stockton and Karl Malone era, right? One of the things, and Jeff Hornacek and that whole crew, Byron Russell and all of them, right? One of the things that Utah Jazz team did is if they ran plays that had the effect that they needed and that they wanted to see, they would continue to run it until you stopped it. And it was the most effective plan and the effective play that they were running. And then they would throw wrinkles off of it. And there was little wrinkles that they would kind of sometimes run some of that set, get Tamanaga down there. Boom. He would run a back cut, find himself for a layup. Boom. Next time you think he's going to back cut, boom, he comes off. He's at the corner. He's got a shot opportunity. If not, he's into penetration, finish, or kick. Those are the things that you were seeing. And there's just little wrinkles out of the same thing that they were running. And that's what I loved about the way that they were executing their offense tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's been a lot more motion, and they kind of went to that, that triangle set, but there's been a lot of more motion with Tamanaga. I mean, that's his game. I mean, they've found a way for that to be really effective. But I remember earlier in the season, we were talking about Nebraska, and they don't shoot threes too well. And a big point of it's like, well, a lot of it's just kind of straight up threes, well contested. Not getting, now they're kind of running screens, running things off of them. So kind of to your point, it's kind of opened up the offense. So I know a lot of credit this season is going to Adam Howard and the defensive approach and what they brought in. But, credit to the offensive side too, especially on a night like tonight, where they found ways to get it going and to use their players more effectively. CJ Wilcher, again, just a wonderful night. Somebody else shouting him out there on the text line. Mike Melby, of course, has been on the Who's Post Game show several times. Just wrapped up a text to me too saying, I believe, because of course I've been asking him, and it's been pretty common with us. Do you hope or do you believe in Fred Hoiberg? Put the dirt on the old Hoiberg hot seat discussion, because I think that one's wrapped up for the season, and the belief is there. I think for a lot of Husker fans moving forward with what this program can become, with a little bit of good luck, maybe injuries stay out of the way moving forward, at least for the Huskers. But just an excellent game tonight from Nebraska. Once again, this is the Hoops Postgame Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Huskers win 82-72. Better take our last break, pay off our sponsors here, Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, wall-to-wall wine and spirits. You got the Husker Hall of Famer and longtime NBA vet Eric Strickland, myself, Jake Bachman. We'll be right back here to wrap it up here at the Hoops Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Hey, it's Chad with Nutrition Authority talking about Cleansing Lean. Cleansing Lean helps eliminate that dreaded bloat and water retention that many of us deal with on a day-to-day basis. Cleansing Lean is a great way to jumpstart any weight loss program. Cleansing Lean is only available at Nutrition Authority. Stop in or for store info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealership, is hosting their annual planter clinic at the Adams County Fairgrounds in Hastings, Nebraska, February 22nd and 23rd. Landmark's Planter Clinic offers expansive equipment training and important information on new and updated technology for this planting season. Get a refresher before heading to the field on in-cab monitors, maintenance points, and options to increase your operations profits. Join us February 22nd and 23rd in Hastings. Learn more at RSVP at landmarkimp.com/events.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, call 988 for free, confidential, and compassionate support. On July 16th, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is transitioning to 988. There is hope. For 24/7 support, call, text, or chat 988.
Sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to the Tickets Basketball Postgame Show, featuring Derek Pearson and former Husker and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Wrapping up a holiday edition of the Hoops Postgame here on 93.7 The Ticket. And if it seems like I'm in a good mood, it's because I am. We have been here on the Hoops Postgame Show as of late. Nebraska's now won 3 out of their last 4 games after stealing one on the road tonight from Rutgers, who was recently ranked just outside the top 25, now on a 3-game losing streak themselves. But Nebraska, the victors tonight, 82-72, a game in which Keisei Tamanaga continued his all-American type play as of late. 22 points tonight, much of that coming in the second half. He was helped by C.J. Welcher, who had a strong first half, canning 5 threes from deep to get 17 points on the board. An all-around game from Griesel, who might as well have been the center, who went for the tip-off tonight. 12 points, leading the team in rebounds tonight with 11, also leading the team with 5 assists to go along with just 1 turnover from your point guard there in Sam Griesel. Derek Walker, once again, very effective tonight. 16 points, 8 of 10 from the field, and not too many turnovers from Derek Walker, so kind of breaking that streak as of late. Demarcus Lawrence threw in 5 points as well from the starting lineup, 7 points off the bench from Sam Hoiberg. A 3-can by Breidenbach there was enough for his points in the game, and Blaise Keita also contributing, not in the points column, but getting off the bench and playing a little bit for Nebraska. Before we get out of here, let's kind of go through some of these numbers and what it meant for Nebraska. Of course, I'm joined by Eric Strickland, Husker Hall of Famer, longtime NBA vet, of course, of On the Block here on 93.7 The Ticket. Strick, as we look at it here, what did you think about Rutgers? There was one thing that was pretty noticeable in the first half, as was kind of mentioned. Nebraska shot 65%, and there was just no rim protection there. And the second half, there was. The center, Amore, had 5 blocks, I believe, all in the second half. And he was just a difficult. Derek Walker's a heck of a center. He was just kind of difficult all game long. Ended up with 12 rebounds, extended their plays several times. And, another guy to kind of speak up for them too was Hyatt, who hasn't been shooting well, but was tonight, 5-11 from deep, 24 points there. But specifically, Nebraska kind of have to adjust and what they did in that second half and what Rutgers really did in that second half to adjust to Nebraska's attack and start to get some of those block shots and make the layups a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, and again, there was a couple of the blocks and a couple of the situations to which Walker found himself in. Got the ball in great position, but he attacked him at the rim when there was space between him and Amari, right? And that's what I've talked about, Bach, before, is that when you have that as a situation, Walker's just got to stop. He's just got to stop and drop the little teardrop on that. Don't go and try to get to the backboard or get to the rim. You do that when you've got body contact. You saw when he had the mismatch, he hit the guy with the strong body, Euro stepped in, was able to finish. That's when you do that. When you can get to Amori's body, that's when you would take that. But if not, you got to take a couple dribbles and just drop the little teardrop on him. He's got a good jump hook, so just drop that on him and don't let him don't get to his zone to where he can be effective in the block. A couple times they got downhill. Same thing with Griesel. If you're not able to attack him where you can show it to him like Tamanaga did, where he went up, showed it on this side, they flew to try to block it. He comes up and under and finishes on the opposite side. If you don't have that angle, then you either need to step off, shoot a floater, or pull up in the mid-range. That's going to eliminate the shot blocker from having an advantage on you.
Interesting stuff there. Again, Walker altogether did pretty well, 8 of 10 from the floor. So I guess maybe he was just kind of thinking his bruiser ball was working for the most part of the night. Do you think if Nebraska matches up with Rutgers in the Big Ten tournament, they might adjust their full court press? Nebraska finished with 16 assists tonight. That's going to be near the top, and some of those was on the break. They kind of lightened up and loosened it until they needed to get back into it. They're down 10 points. They need to have that press defense there late. Is that an adjustment you think Rutgers might make in the next matchup, or do you think, it was, a tweak here and there and it might be effective?
Well, Rutgers is going to play the way that they play. They're going to stay with it. They're going to continue to go with it. They'll try to do a little bit better in some ways as far as the execution, probably the set that they were running that they were having trouble with. They'll probably make some adjustments there, maybe even some switching. They were staying pretty attached to guys. They didn't do a lot of switching tonight. And so they'll make some adjustments, but they're going to play their style. They're not going to do anything different because their style has worked. There's nothing that hasn't worked for them. It was just a night for the Huskers because of the way that they shot the ball tonight and the way that they played. So ultimately, they just got to continue on. I hope the fans show up on Sunday, 4:00 game. There's no more football as far as XFL will be starting up soon, and the USFL. USFL. And they'll be starting up soon. But listen, show up and show out. Let Maryland know that this is not going to be an easy road for you. Nebraska come in playing the same style. And again, Bach, it's not the same person every night outside of the ones that it needs to be, either Wilcher, Walker, or Tamanaga. Not Wilcher, but Griesel, Walker, Tamanaga. That needs to be a consistent. You throw in Wilcher, great. If it ain't Wilcher that night, you got to throw in Jamarcus Lawrence. If it ain't Lawrence, let's have a Sam Hoiberg sighting. If they can do that, where they can have those extra pieces step up and step in, then they'll have a successful run, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think if we know Nebraska fans well, a little bit of energy in this program and that place will be rocking. And the energy level is pretty high right now. So I think you can expect that. Like you said, Sunday, the game is, if you are out of town or if you can't make it on FS1, so a national televised program, another opportunity for Nebraska to kind of continue this momentum and a chance to get back to 500. There was a time when that was kind of, I don't know if it's the goal of the team or whatever, but for me, it was just kind of like, all right, just kind of hover around 500. Because like we said, with your schedule, if you can be on the right side of that, even if marginally, you can get some postseason play. And again, there was a time, before this stretch where it was kind of like, well, that's probably out of reach now. Now Nebraska just one game back of that, and looking like a contender for postseason play. Very interested to kind of see how all this plays out, especially if they finish out hot. Kind of what does that mean as we talk about the nucleus for next season, but what does it mean for kind of stepping forward your goals going into next season? I'll be interested in kind of that, and we're ready for it, right? That's what this is, the type of the momentum in the program, the type of steps that you need to take to finally kind of ask for that next step. And I think that this is a good time to do that, to ask Nebraska to finish it out. Again, one way or the other, looks like your Hoiberg watch should be done, and you can kind of just focus on this team and how they kind of finish it out, because enough has been done in that situation. All right, anything else as we wrap it up here, Strick, kind of coming to your mind? Again, 3 out of 4, the next 3 in particular at home before you wrap up. At Iowa, Tamanaga playing at a crazy level. The team seemingly playing their best team ball, probably best game overall tonight. Sometimes you might be repeating some of those things, but you love to say it. So, just kind of the wrap up there. It's good for Nebraska basketball right now. It's good to be a Nebraska basketball fan.
Yeah, you can't ask for anything more. You've got 3 home games down the stretch and a team that you played very well against. You should feel confident going into Iowa to make a run at it. If you make this run, listen, why not you? Why not you? You've set yourself up now to have the take advantage of a home stretch that's in your building where you've played very well for most of the season. So go in, do the same type of stuff. Don't stop. Just continue to tweak in the areas that you need to tweak. Get healthy. You've got 5 days. You've got 5 days off before you have to blow it out again. Get ready. Get your mind right. Come out and make it happen.
Well, there you heard it there, that Nebraska's got a lot of momentum. They want to keep it rolling. Once again, our next Hoops post-game show will be Sunday after the Maryland game. That the tip-off set for 4 o'clock, so you can expect around a 6 o'clock Hoops post-game show. We'll be back, hopefully celebrating the 4th win in 5 games. Man, would that be awesome? And we'll see. I mean, Nebraska, again, winning one tonight, but they've been a tough out at home all season long, regardless of what lineup they're throwing out there. And it certainly feels like this team is coming together. Thanks to everybody for commenting tonight, throwing in and celebrating here with us on Valentine's Day. Thanks for Strick for staying up with us and breaking it down. Thanks for Action Heating, Plumbing, AC, and Electrical, as well as Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits for being our primary sponsors. Once again, Huskers 82-72 victors over Rutgers tonight, improved to 13-14 on the season. We'll be back on Sunday. Of course, our normal programming will start bright and early in the morning. We'll see you then.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in